Good morning, welcome back to Farmer's Wife Homestead. I'm Stacey if this is the first time we're meeting. I know I'm fumbling my words. I've taken the weekend off. If you've seen my post, I blew out my bad knee that needs a total knee replacement, and I've kept off my knee for the entire weekend. It's a lot better today. The swelling's come down and I've got my brace on, so I think I can manage a small video today. So unfortunately it's not the massive mega pizza video that you're all anticipating, but we will go with this instead. So in the comments of the last video, somebody mentioned, well, we were talking about the butter prices, and in New Zealand, and I'm pretty sure in Australia, correct me if I'm wrong, all my Aussie friends, that butter prices are really bad in Aussie as well. But in New Zealand, which, you know, we're very much known as the dairy capital of the world. Well, I think we are anyway. We are paying upwards of 8 between, or I think I saw it on special for $8.95, but you know, upwards of $12-14 for 500 grams of butter, which is about, it's round about a pound. So somebody in the comments mentioned about a spreadable butter that you can make. I've seen it before. I personally, we just keep some butter out and it keeps soft and we just use that. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a go, and it's probably not something that we will use, but because, you know, you add oil into it, but it may be handy for other people. All right, so we're going to do it today. All right, so we're going to, instead of doing a whole 500 gram, we're going to do a 250 gram. And thank you for, you know, reminding me that there is this method, and to do it for my viewers. So without further ado, let's get down, start this recipe. She just gave the measurements, which was 500 grams of butter, 200 mils of oil, and oh, hang on, I've written it down. I thought it was 200 mils of water, and it was. So easy to remember. There was no instructions, so I'm just going to wing it and go with what I think will work. All right, but as I said, we're going to do a half batch. Okay, I've got some softened butter. I've just left it out of the fridge overnight. We are in winter, so I can do that. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is just measure out 250 grams into my stand mixer. You could try doing this with a hand mixer, but just make sure your butter is soft enough to do that. So we're just going to estimate 250. I'm just going to cut it sort of down into bits like that to make it easier. Oh, pretty close, 15 grams off. Perfect. Okay, so now we need 100 mils of your preferred oil. So for me, if you've been around for a long time, you know that I love to use the good oil, which is a extra virgin hyaluronic sunflower oil, and it is cold pressed. So if you're going to have oil, cold pressed is always going to be better for you. It's a natural sunflower taste, extra virgin, no heat, no chemicals, ideal for frying, roasting, baking, and salads. I love to just drizzle just a tiny bit over my salad, and it is very, very nice. All right, so you want something that's not going to be too overpowering in taste. So a full extra virgin olive oil would just be too much. So if you're going to use olive oil, I would use a very light one, or another light oil like what would be good? Avocado. I've not really seen bulk avocado over here. Another light one would be grapeseed oil, anything like that. So I'm sure at the end of the day that these are going to probably be better than margarine if you make this one, because you are in control of the oil that you want to use. So, you know, that would be the benefit of that. So let's measure out 200 mils of this. Hopefully it's not going to be too strong a taste, but we'll give it a go. Right, now what I think I want to do is I think I want to whip this up first. Once it's whipped up and I've scraped the sides down, I will drizzle the oil in. Definitely want it more whipped than this. My gut's telling me to whip it, and that will be the right thing to do. Never ever ever have I done this before. Alright, so I've probably mixed that for maybe a minute. Now I'm just going to get my oil and I'm just going to slowly drizzle it in just so that it incorporates into the softened butter. And yeah, because if you poured it all in one chunk, it's just not going to emulsify very well, I don't think anyway. So that's why we're going to pour it in, and then I think we will do the water last. And I think I will also scrape down the sides too. Okay, so I've just put in about half of the oil. It's already quite softened and it looks like margarine now. It's quite exciting actually. I'm pleased that I'm finally getting to do this. Okay, just going to scrape again, make sure that I'm getting everything back in there, and have it on a faster setting. Okay, I'm going to scrape one more time before I start adding in the water, and going to give it one more really good mix to make sure that that oil is all incorporated. Alright, now let's get 100 mils of water. I'm going to assume it's cold. Okay, right, here goes nothing. I'll show you the consistency now. Let's see how it's quite whipped. It's very soft. It's just like marge, really. I want to taste it until the end. Okay, now I'm going to add this slowly as well. Added that last bit in a bit much. I didn't realise it had that much water left in there, but it's all good. It's all coming together. Scrape it one last time, and I'm just going to give it one last whip. And we're also going to weigh this at the end to see how much it yields. Right, there we go. It actually looks really nice. Okay, now I'm going to measure it into a container. Okay, so I will work out the exact cost for this spreadable butter. That includes the oil, the water. I'm not going to put a cost in for that. And we'll work out how much margarine's going to cost you, and compared to, you know, other options. All right, so let's weigh this and see how much we ended up getting. think it should fit into here. The scale's on. Well, there's 286 already. There's 374. Oh, let's see if we can get to 400 grams. So close. Not quite going to make it. I think the 100 grams of water was just slightly under 100 grams. There's 395. 395. I honestly think if I had managed to get the little bit off the beater, and there's a spoon that I used, and there's probably a tiny bit more left in the bowl, that I could call it 400 grams. So, okay, right, let's try it. What should I try it on? I don't want to just try it by itself. I might get a piece of bread. Thought I was recording. Anyway, I was just saying that I needed to beat it slightly a bit more because there's tiny, tiny little butter chunks in there. So anyway, I've liberally put some on that piece of bread there, and I've got just plain butter here, and we're just going to taste test the difference. So you can see the different colour. That's butter, and that's the spreadable butter. Okay, right, here they are. I'll try the spreadable one first. It's just a very light whipped butter type. Oh, that tastes really nice. And just the normal butter. Wow, I'm really impressed. I actually really like it. I can definitely taste the sunflower seed, but only very, very lightly. And of course the normal butter it coats the top of your mouth like it does. I'm just going to try just a tiny little bit on its own. It's much nicer than margarine because you're still using real butter. Wow. And don't forget, I only use 250 grams of actual butter. I'm impressed. Really impressed, actually. I'm gonna make a sandwich for hubby, or I'll get him to try it, see what he thinks. I might actually use this. So interesting. Okay, what I've decided to do is just grab a little bit here and pop it in the fridge and see what happens to it. So I'm going to pop that in the fridge now, and I'm going to give it, we'll say 10 minutes and see how much it hardens, and then I'll come back and I'll let you know. But for me, this is a winner. So I went from 250 grams to 400 grams. So there's an extra 150 grams there. The taste is beautiful. It's really nice. It's far nicer than margarine. The bulk of it is still butter, and I'm super impressed. I wish I had tried this years ago, and I will, as I said, work out the pricings. And because if I'd done a 500 gram pad of butter, I would have got 800 grams. So yeah, this could be a good thing to do. I mean, unless of course you don't want to use oils, which I'm not that keen on. But considering the price of butter at the moment, and if you prefer a butter taste, this is the way to go. It's just like whipped butter basically. Okay, right, in the fridge, and I'll come back shortly. All right, I just grabbed it out of the, I was going to say oven, out of the fridge, and oh yes, it's definitely stiffened up. I'm pressing on that quite hard, so it's still kind of spreadable. So my advice would be it's best to keep it in the cupboard. It is still spreadable though, so I mean, it's not that it's not. It's just not as whipped now. But yeah, I guess you could still say it's spreadable. And it didn't rip the bread. Let's see what that tastes like. Right. So it's just definitely not as whipped tasting or feeling in your mouth, but it was still spreadable. So yes, I think you could leave it in the fridge, especially in the summer months, but it's winter at the moment, so the house is naturally cold. I have no problem with keeping it on the shelf, because I keep my butter on the shelf, and it's got oil which is shelf stable. So I'm going to trial keeping it in my pantry up here, and I'll let you know on the next video if anything changes, like, you know, if it just goes too soft or goes off or something like that. Otherwise you can spread it straight out of the fridge. All right. I'm so happy with that. Thank you for joining me today. Hopefully this will combat some of these horrendous butter prices, and you can do something with, you know, just with a pat of butter and make it go further. And yeah, I think it totally works. Whether you want to do it or not, it's absolutely totally over to you, and whether you want to put that much oil into your diet and things like that. But yeah, I think it definitely can combat the price of butter in New Zealand at the moment. Anyways, as I said, thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed today's wee episode, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. All right, bye for now.